Alright, so today I'm actually going to be explaining the mod that I showed off, or really, well, rendering all of this TNT with losing pretty much no FPS that I had a video on the other day. Basically, I'm going to be explaining how it worked, how you can potentially do the same thing, and what the mod was that actually allowed me to do this. Now, I didn't make this mod myself, and I don't even have source code for this mod. However, Dancore is open source, and it's what allows me to get really good FPS while cannoning. And the best part about it is, unlike FAQ it works really, really well with Orbit. I'm not sure about Falcon, but I'm sure it'll work just fine with Falcon, honestly, because nothing really important that would have any cross-compatibility issues. So I guarantee, well, I don't guarantee, but I'm very, very sure that it'll work really well with Falcon, and if it doesn't, it'll be fixed, and I'll tell Dan to fix it. So this is a free mod, and it's really, really nice. So just alone, so I'm going to turn off what's called supporter for now, and I'm going to show you some things. Now, I can't turn off every single thing that gives me FPS. I don't really want to launch a second Minecraft, but I'll show you here, while just rendering some TNT. I'll even turn off minimal TNT here as well. Let me set tick rate to 20. I'll fire this once, and you'll see my FPS. So I turned off minimal TNT. You can see I had all those entities being rendered right there, and I'm getting decent FPS while rendering TNT. Now, obviously, I don't have smoke particles or explosion particles on, but who really wants those particles on? People want FPS, so most people actually disable all of that. But you can see, okay, decent FPS, whatever, right? Well, if I turn on minimal TNT, we'll see another increase in FPS. Now, this is actually this is more FPS than what you would get on vanilla with just minimal TNT. If I had minimal TNT off, this is still not vanilla for FPS. There are still some optimizations of FPS here, which is really, really good and beneficial. So I'll keep minimal TNT on, and you see I get pretty good FPS increase. I'm only getting about 420. But if I turn on supporter, I'll turn all of those off. I'll only turn on TNT for the first one. And I guess it's pretty good. I mean, you saw some good jumps and all. But if I turn all of them on, averaging 800. That's pretty good, honestly, in my opinion. For rendering TNT, going from about, 100 to 200 averaging to about 700, 800, that's really good in my opinion. So that's like between 4 and 7 times, more FPS while averaging. And some people will say, well, they don't need this mod. But it's always best to have less resources used while rendering TNT, while really just playing games in general. It's just really beneficial in general because it allows, better gameplay and just in general. Allows smoother gameplay overall. So those FPS drops, if you average about 200, and say you have a 144 Hz monitor, and you play uncapped, those FPS drops where you drop below 144, it begins to feel choppy. But you experience less with better FPS all the time. And that's why I always go for the best FPS improvements that I can. And that's the best part about it. So, this is all in one singular mod, and don't remember if I mentioned this or not yet, but it's by the same guy who made FAQTils, XYZ, or Dan, however you know him. He's also made some extremely notable cannons. He invented the LR, which not a lot of people know for people who actually watch my videos for cannoning and stuff, but it's basically a cannon which slides one to the left or one to the right. It's meant for regens and really just cosmic, but it's a really great concept. He was the first person to release a one-shot regen buster. He also invented the hammerless, or whatever we know as quick prints nowadays. So that's another thing he also did. He made that concept. Now, quick prints were obviously before them, but I digress. All of that. He's a really notable person and has made a lot of changes when it comes to factions history, at least for gameplay-wise, especially with cannoning, and that's what, side countering. Basically, side counters really became really, really, really big because of that movement in cannoning, which is really awesome. But this mod is not just for FPS. This mod is, honestly, it has some really nice things. I'm going to show you some other things too. So Cannon Tools is great things. Patch Crumbs, which is, me and Dan, we work on it together. We look for ways we can bypass the crumbs. We also look for, how the crumbs just be improved in general for, efficiency. And these crumbs actually don't really lag that much at all. They barely lag. Like, the whole point of everything in this mod is not just for features, it's also really efficient features too. And that's the coolest part of the mod in my opinion, because the goal with the mod is to have really, really efficient features that, so anything that would be cool is not taking up many resources on your computer. Whether it comes to your CPU or your GPU, it's not going to take up very many resources. If you were to compare it to like Orbit Client, now this does work with Orbit and Falcon, or well, I haven't tested with Falcon, but it probably works with Falcon. If somebody tests it and has issues with it, it'll get fixed. But like if you compare the resources used on from with this in Orbit Client, idling on the main menu in Orbit Client already uses a lot of CPU, memory, and GPU usage. And I don't blame them. I'm not saying it's bad. The client itself is really well built and well developed, but the point of Dancor is really, really efficient features. Now, the patch crumbs aren't the best thing, but they're free. They're not the best. Like, Orbit crumbs are probably still better, and they are still better. I'm not sure about Falcon crumbs, and comparing them, I'm not really sure how I can compare them to it. Not really a way I could compare them realistically, but that's that. There's rendering settings here for things like explosion boxes and also TNT rendering, which is really great. So, how to get all these modules with Dancor? When you install Dancor, you're not just going to see every single thing here that I have. The supporter part is part of a Patreon part for supporting Dan so that he still has motivation to, keep working on it. And it's not just that, like, it's a really, really good product and also a thing that, has so much more than what you're seeing. There's so much behind the scenes here where it optimizes so many things that's just giving you free FPS. Like, if I was sitting here on vanilla Minecraft, I would probably be averaging maybe 300, 200 FPS right now, but because of the optimizations that are in this Patreon module, it just makes things so much smoother. I mean, like I said, I can't be asked launching normal Minecraft, or if I just to, like, compare it, but it's just really, really nice, and that's just the whole best part about it. So now there's other parts of it, like system, whatever, that's just opening this mod. GUI mod is actually really, really interesting. It's also something I really kind of enjoy. It was made by Philip, which is a friend of Dan's. Now, this right here, you're going to see the messed up text. That's only, to my knowledge, or as far as I know, that's only with background blur on if you have the Patreon, but that'll definitely get fixed very, very soon. I mean, if I go here, I mean, you can see the smooth animations, and you can customize it too. So I can turn down the animation speed, or slow it down. Like, you can see right there. And it's really, really smooth and just, really clean. And, better animations for things is always, always really, really nice to see, just visually. Like, some people will be like, well, I want it to be instant, so if I'm, try-harding a faction or something, it's like, just whatever. I don't really think it makes much of it. It's still really, really nice to see, and it just, it's just really, nice to look at, and makes it, more enjoyable rather than just seeing something pretty choppy and basic. The light fix here is just another thing that Dan made. It basically, if you make a platform, so I'll just quickly make a platform right here. Basically, if I was standing on top of a platform and I broke both the blocks there, normally your game will lag. And now nobody really experiences this anymore on any faction clans, but if you go on like Lunar, I believe Lunar might still suffer from this issue. Badlion probably does not, but Vanilla, if you go through Vanilla and you do that, your game will freeze. That basically is I fixed this. The light fix is basically something that patches that. It completely just makes it not freeze your game from something like that. So that's also really nice. And there's also other things like strings and stuff, so if you see any chat messages and stuff like that, that actually takes quite a bit of resources to render. And the string optimizations also give, a really good FPS boost. I got about 100 to 200 just from the strings. And there's so many FPS boosts just in the mod alone, but there's also multiple features and many coming soon as well. One that I know of is there's going to be a Chroma Wave RGB Redstone, which is going to be really awesome, and also just redstone coloring. I believe that's coming soon. I'm not sure if Philip is actually doing it, but he mentioned that he wants to do it, so that'll probably be coming soon to this as well, which is really great. So that will also look really nice. Now, obviously, every single client or mod out there is going to have some sort of issues with incompatibility. However, I mean, it works perfectly fine on Orbit. I mean, We've tested on with Orbit, and I mean, I'll probably test on Falcon soon enough. But honestly, it's just really, really good, and it's really, really clean. And as well as the fact that the whole mod is open source besides the Patreon part, which means you can make your own modules in the mod really easily with the API. So you literally just you don't have to make any GUI or anything, any user interface. You don't have to design any of that, really. Realistically, you can just use this, and it will look, generally it'll look really, really nice. So obviously, the UI is not the best, cleanest thing out there. I mean, there's like Badlion, Lunar, Falcon, like they have better UIs and way better looks, but like this is pretty much all you really need. So I mean, yeah. I mean, it's just so clean in general, and it's just a really, really great mod in general. And I'll leave the links for the Discord for it, and I'll leave the link for the Discord for the mod, and I as well will be also showing some other things. Now I do show FPS right here. Let me go back. I'm gonna show off. This is a 10 stacker I made I think a year ago or something. I'll just show it off right now with FPS. So if I turn off all of this, I'll keep minimal TNT on. So, it's still fair for whatever. I think I broke something. But you can see, 46 FPS is kind of bad, right? But if I turn on the supporter modules, you can see I'm already getting, 303, peaking above 300, just from 40, from right there. 6 to 7 times better FPS just in general from TNT and Sand. Now, obviously, the Sand's probably not doing much, but still, it's really, really great. And you're probably going to see, oh, well, the Sand's going to be really, really bright. That's an issue, but there's things about that. That's why there's multiple settings here, optimized lighting and all that, so you can have, whatever. So if I turn off, it currently is still lighting up, completely and not really doing that. But there will be more options added in the future for things like this, which is just really, really great. So, and not just that, but last few things to mention. A lot of things when, say you're on somebody's walls or something, or at a base, some people get, a lot of lag just from all the water or being outside somebody's base just in general. And that's going to be optimized really, really soon, to where you're basically getting no lag from all the water and stuff. And another thing that will most likely be added is if you notice right here, notice how my hand on my character is moving when I enter water and not when I enter water. That will also probably be a toggleable feature. I'm not 100% positive, but it will most likely be a toggleable feature because I know when you have something like clear water on, it's really, really trippy. And also another feature that will most likely be added is Dan will probably make his own clear water, and the way that will most likely work is by having a slider for how transparent you want it to be, so you can still see where water gaps are if you're raiding or something, which is really nice in my opinion. And also it's just kind of nicer to look at. So you say you have a texture, you can make it more transparent, more opaque, all of that. So that's another thing about it that I will probably be seeing really, really soon. And that's just another part that makes this mod really, really nice. It's just because it can be used for so many different things. You can make Bed Wars mods with this, with Dancor by yourself and stuff like that too. And it's just really, really nice in general, and I recommend using it. Especially while playing factions. You get free FPS and stuff. For some servers that don't really, because the servers, they can't really just show, only 2 TNT because of patch crumbs existing. So they can't just make it so you only are rendering 2 TNT client-side when you're on a server. They have to show all that TNT because of patch crumbs. So they have to, calculate, where the shot actually is so anti-breadcrumb cannons don't exist. Stuff like that. And that's why stuff like this is just really nice in general, and that's why I really, really recommend it. So there's a lot of stuff like that. If anybody has questions, you can ask me or ask Dan, I guess, in the Dancor Discord. There will be tickets added pretty soon. I still have to do that for Dan because he's a degenerate, can't use Discord, doesn't know how to fucking do that shit. But besides that, I don't really see what bad there is to this mod. It's just so nice in general. I just really love it. You see, I'm not on Fact Utils anymore, and you used to see that I was in Fact Utils in every single one of my videos back, for all my canoning videos. And you used to, notice that people would notice that, why do I always use Fact Utils over a client? It's because it had better FPS. I go for the best FPS possible while playing a game because I want the least choppy experience. I want the best experience while playing a game, and I don't want to use many resources because it's just so much smoother. So that's kind of like why I really recommend this mod, the whole general idea of it, and I probably will make another video on it soon, for updates at least on it, or showing off more modules or features to it. Currently there's not too many to it, but I might make my own modules myself as well, for other stuff, but I mean, you can really see why it's really, really nice, and my opinion, and so, I mean, that's really it. I mean, there's nothing else I really have to say about the mod, besides the fact that I recommend using it, and it's free, and I'll leave a link to the Discord in the description for how you can install it and everything. I'll probably have a written guide for how to use it as well, probably listed in the Dancore Discord, as I am helping out with the mod for, at least for the community part of for it and all. So, that's it.